Welcome into this video, and I start amused. The universe has jokes. I have a topic prepared, and I was trying to figure out examples from my own life and how I can relate to you to just help you visualize what it is I'm talking about. And the universe tapped me on the shoulder and told me, Chick, it's something that you're going through right now. I'll explain. So I've been off creating for YouTube for some time because I've been changing. I've been changing dramatically. I quit my job and started a business and traveled home to Kenya for the holidays, and it's been Christmas, it's been the new year. I've been doing a lot of research on things like business and money and energetics mostly. Quantum physics. So I've really been immersing myself in a change situation, and I have seen the changes in myself. The version of me that you see now is absolutely not the version of me that was there in September at the time when I was quitting my job. And I have stalled in creating content because I wanted to create content that encompasses the new me, is what I was thinking. So I was telling myself, I need to wait. But the thing with that is that there's always a newer version of you, there's always more that's going on. So take it as train stations. Now we'll get to the topic, but because we've started that way, let's talk a little bit about the quantum physics part. So you enter into a train. You enter into a train that leads you to different stations. You choose the train that you're going to enter, and there are different trains and there are different versions of you entering the different trains. So there are different places that you could get to. There is a version of you who is super confident. She already exists. She already exists, and when she steps onto that train, she walks with a different gait than you do if you're not yet confident. So that's just the imagery to show you what I mean. And where she goes to is Confidentville because she owns the town because she's very confident. And there's a version of you who is completely mousy and shy. So I'm assuming that you now is somewhere in the middle, yeah? So there's a version of you that is completely mousy and shy, who doesn't even move, who can't even do anything. And perhaps that was a previous version of you. Maybe when you were in high school. I don't know. Maybe it is. And then that version of you no longer exists. Why? Because you got off that train and chose to be on the train that is a version of you are now. So, this to illustrate that you're your creator in your life. You're the one who determines the experience that you're going to have based on these trains that you're taking and the stations that they're taking you to. So that was the background. So in my case, what I did was in choosing to quit my job, I left the version of me who was at the point I was feeling a little I was quite conflicted. I was feeling that my values and the values of my workplace no longer align. There was a cultural shift in the workplace, and then I was just feeling a little torn apart. So for me, what I did is that I chose me. I chose my higher self. I chose the version of me who is aligned with my values, and that meant cutting ties with the previous employment. And that in itself is quite a leap for me because that is me choosing what is in alignment for myself. And I'm not saying that this is something that has to happen for everybody. I'm just giving you my own experience and how it has progressed me. So when I cut the ties to the previous version of me, who now no longer exists or is at a different train station somewhere else, I then needed to change. I needed to grow. I needed to become the version of myself who, first of all, is not working, doesn't have the 9 to 5, because I quit without another job in mind. I had known within myself that I want to do something else. I wanted to get into business. I wanted to work for myself. So, and then I didn't even know what business I wanted to get into really. There was no clarity. I had the idea of coaching because that's something that I had been doing, but I didn't really know what and how and where. So, part of my journey involved not thinking about it, not worrying at it, not constantly telling myself, oh, what's going to happen. And I'll be honest, it was there was a lot of moments of asking myself of worrying, actually, because there's a version of me that is worrying. There's a version of me who's saying, but this is not normal. This is not right. This is not how the world is meant to be. You should know what you're doing. You should not just let things go. But then there was the version of me who trusted in the divinity in me, my higher self, Christ in me, God. And the voice that I had heard, or the messaging that I was getting, was telling me, this is the path you need to take, and it is going to be okay. So there was that in between place, because that means that I was getting to the train station, and there's a part of me that wants to get into the worry train that goes into worry land, and all we're ever going to be doing is worrying. And there's a part of me that's being drawn towards calm state, calm land, where even though I'm not in full control, I cannot see everything that's going to happen. I am aware that it is going to go well. Yeah. And sometimes it took a bit of a balancing, but then I ended up joining Calm Train. And Calm Train has taken me to Calm Land. And based on that, I was able to get the instruction, get the information, get the inspiration. That's the word I'm looking for. The inspiration to start my business. And what I'm doing is that I'm supporting women founders find clarity in their decision making processes. So, this is quite a long background to explain that in this video today, what you're talking about is not knowing when we are blocked, not realizing that we're blocked and figuring out what to do with it. It happens a lot in business because we might feel that we're stagnating. We might feel that there's something that's not going according to our plan. We want to move to a next level. Our business is working, it's doing fine, but we want more. And we don't know how to get to that more. So, some of the symptoms to know that you are blocked might be that you don't, you can't find the time. That's a super good one. You can't find the time. I'm sure I couldn't find the time to make YouTube videos. There are just things going on, and the excuses sound very plausible. It is that it's Christmas, it's holidays, it's I have nothing new to say. It's there's all these things that are happening. That's the example for me. But look at it within your own life. Is there something that you really want to change, implement, but you can't seem to find the time to concentrate on it? You have something we call the internal saboteur. I speak about it in my book, Date Like Cleopatra. And this is the notion that there is a part within us that is stopping us from moving forward. And I've seen this with my clients. I've seen situations where I have one particular client in mind who is stuck, not knowing why. I don't know how else to really put it. She has this great plan, and the business that she has in mind is super a great business that she has in mind, and it's quite available to her. There are just maybe 2-3 steps that she needs to take, but she finds herself unable to take the 2-3 steps. And as I'm saying, there's always plenty of reasons. There's plenty of reasons, and it is important to be able to pull ourselves back into the quiet and realize that this is us stopping ourselves. A second point on that, on a way to recognize that this is something that's happening with you, is ignoring potential solutions. This is something else I've seen. That, as I said in that case, if it's just 3 steps that are necessary, maybe you can't see the steps. And this happens to all of us in certain situations. And sometimes what the universe does is that if you can see it, there's something that will come within your path that will show you the direction that would resolve the issue that you're dealing with. And in certain situations, we ignore them. So you can see that if I did this, maybe that would help. So you either just ignore it, don't think of it at all, because of course you're very busy, or you go back and start nitpicking, but that can't possibly work. It's not even possible. So you shut it down before you actually really consider it and give it any kind of weight. And the last one, the one that I really like, is that it terrifies you. This potential thing that you're going to do, even just sitting down and thinking about it, just terrifies you. I had that experience when I was writing my book, Date Like Cleopatra. Every single chapter was such a terrifying process because there was so much self-doubt and so much questioning and so much imposter syndrome. Am I the one to do this? And so much, what will people say? They laugh at me. The topic was dating. At the time, I was working my job as a lawyer. How can a serious lawyer be talking about dating and stuff like that? So I was terrified. Then I had to find means and ways of taking just one step. Just one step. I found the support from a course I was taking to help me balance it out, such that instead of trying to figure out the end to end, the whole book and all the chapters, what I was taking was I had created the habit of writing every day. So if I'm writing every day, then I'm concentrating on what I'm writing on that day. And I'm not concentrating on creating a best selling book, no. I'm concentrating on that day on putting words on paper, well, on computer, within the time frame that I had given myself. So that broke it down and made it a little easier. Can you relate? Can you relate? Is this something, if you think about your life and your business, is there something that you truly, truly want to do but feel stuck? And then you go back to yourself and ask yourself, this feeling of stuckness, this stuckiness that you're feeling, is it something that is internal? Because that's really it. We need to give ourselves the energetic permission to move from the versions that we used to be to the next version, because this also happens in business. In the business that you're running, if we look at income, let's say, if you look at the amount of money that you're bringing into your business, you may want to move to a next level. And I actually had this conversation with a woman where she could see that where she is not what all that is possible. She could see that there is plenty and plenty and plenty more money available to her, but she couldn't see how to get there. It was a real problem. It was a real problem that she was facing, and she asked me to help her look into it. And I do have one of my offerings is that where I actually just look at problems. I love problem solving. It's one of the things that gives me a certain joy, and I have a certain skill to it. So I told her to give me some time, and I thought about it for a little time, and I found a couple of solutions that could work for her. So when I got in touch with her to go over these, she didn't have the time. So that's the thing. She is probably not aware that this is something that is an internal block to her. But if she did, she then realized that to get from where she is to where she wants to be, and it's a substantial jump in income, is something that is possible, but something that she might be holding herself back from. Yes. And it's interesting to realize that it is your nervous system. These are issues with your nervous system, because it's like if you go back to the train that we were on, you're used to getting to a certain station. Let's talk money now. Let's say if we take the example of maybe she was making $1,000, and what she has in mind, because it was really this kind of dynamic, what she has in mind is something that is 100 times more. What's that? $1,000. Is that $100,000? Yes. Look at my math. So that is really the kind of jump that she could potentially make in her business, doing the exact same kind of work that she's doing now. So that was super interesting to me. So in terms of moving from 1,000 to 100,000, the system the system needs to accept that. The station that you have only ever crossed is the $1,000 station. Moving to the $100,000 station is huge. It's very, very big. So it could be that you need to break these steps down. It could be that instead of moving from 1,000 to 100,000, it's like the railway network. You're not sure whether the railway network beyond the station that you're in actually exists. And to create it, to lay the track, to lay the track within you energetically, sometimes you need to take it down a notch. So instead of moving from here to a point that is in your mind so exponential, I think about it as once upon a time in Kenya, there was a golden bag scandal. So it was a scandal where a lot of money was stolen for fake gold, something along those lines. So the figures, it used to be on the news every day, but the figures that they used to talk about were so extreme. My mind could not fathom them. Maybe the amount of money that I had ever experienced would be, again, the thousand, and they were talking about $100,000. Oh no, in that case they might have been talking about billions of dollars. So my mind just couldn't figure it out. And that might be what is happening. It is what happens when you're thinking of amounts which seem too big to us. So one way of dealing with that is breaking it down. Move from 1,000 to 2,000, say, or from 1,000 to 10,000. Something that is more manageable. And how you know whether or not it's manageable for you is that you feel it within your system. You relax, you shake out any tension, you shake out anything that's tense within you, and put your hand on your heart. I've put my other hand on my womb. Breathe in, breathe out, slow things down. And ask your system, ask your body. Ask your body what it feels about 1,000. Since 1,000 is something that you're used to, it should be okay because that for you is a norm, not a big thing. Then if you ask your body about 100,000, you might start feeling tension, anxiety. You feel anxiety, you feel shallow breathing, you feel, I'm trying to think of the things I feel sometimes. Whatever your internal body system feeling of fear, terror, these kind of things. When you start feeling these tensions, butterflies in your stomach, or just any kind of tension anywhere in your jaw, that would be a sign to you that from the version of you that you are now, that is more than you can fathom. Those are Goldenberg figures. Then ask yourself another figure. Go to 10,000. Go to 50,000. So play around with these figures and see how you feel. See the feeling within your body. And this will enable you understand what is comfortable for you. So if what is comfortable for you turns out to be 5,000, let's say, $5,000 in this example, then clock that. Understand that where you are now, you can be working towards $5,000. And what will happen when you have that realization within yourself, when you're working with your nervous system, is that you can then start creating this time, the time you could not find. It just happens. It just stumbles across you. You just find the time to do this. You find, what else did we say? You're the potential solutions that you are ignoring. You start finding them and you start finding things that work. Because now you're working within something that is within the realm of the train station that you are. Instead of going 70 train stations ahead, you're just moving one or two. Yes. And the other thing that happens in these situations is that you might find a one off. You might get this one off where you get that $100,000. And because your nervous system is just not used to it, it cannot handle it, you find that the money disappears. This is what happens with these people who win the lottery. That someone who had no money won a lot of money, and then they just used it in such a way that they're now poor and broke and maybe on the streets or something. Perhaps on the streets is too dramatic, but yeah. Because you're not able to hold such an amount of money, you create expenses. It sounds odd to think of it as you creating the expenses, but it is your creator again. So you are creator. You do not believe that you are capable of dealing with such sums of money, and therefore you find means and ways of giving them away. You might manifest bills. Something suddenly happens, and then you need to spend all that money resolving that issue. And sometimes I've asked myself whether, like, the HR people have this in mind when they look at how much you're going to earn if you're moving jobs. So they might look at what they're going to offer you based on what you used to earn. Not might. This is what happens. And is it possible because that is the maximum that you've allowed yourself? So pushing it a little forward is fine, but pushing it excessively forward is not fine. And remember that the amount that you're calling in is really based on this, such that if you do go for a job interview and this is the amount that they are going to give you, and it is based on something that you used to get, and you do accept that job, that is really because that is what is within your maximum. That is the station that you're at. If you allow yourself to extend and extend as, within the work that we've been saying, you might find ways in the negotiation that are potential solutions and potential things that you can throw in that will enable you to earn more towards what it is that you actually want, which then has become, if so long as you've done the work energetically, it then becomes something that you are aligned to and can receive. Because we hear these stories, we hear of people who refuse to negotiate based on their previous salary and it works out for them. Yeah. And maybe they move from X amount to 2x or 3x or 4x from one employer to the next. And we think, no, that employer must be very different. But that's not necessarily the case. It might just be the story about how much you have allowed yourself to earn. So I have a journal prompt for you. I leave you with an activity for you to do. And it is this. It's going to be like when I was in school, we used to have compositions. In the compositions, there used to be a sentence that starts it off, and you're meant to fill out the rest. This is what we're going to do. But think of journaling in terms of allowing your subconscious to speak to you. So you journal not so much from your head. You're not thinking necessarily very gravely about the answer, but you're letting things that come to you also just flow onto the pen and paper. I highly recommend pen and paper as opposed to to typing it on your phone or on a laptop, because I feel that pen and paper just allows this process of connection to self to be fulfilled. Of course, if the alternative is not to do the journaling at all, please go ahead with your laptop and your phone. So, this is the question. The issue I am facing in my business is dash. So, write down whatever it is. Is it moving from 1,000 to 100,000? Whatever it is that you want to do. And then you say, I am stuck because, then free write. Free write. Just let whatever comes to you, it doesn't, however long, however short, it doesn't really matter. Just free write. What happens there is that you might find solutions. You might find the reasons why you're stuck, and you might find that you don't even want to do this thing that you've set out as a block. Sometimes we do things because we think that's what we're expected to do, and finding out that that is not the area that is aligned to you is also a solution. I appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out with me on this one. And I'd really love to hear from you in terms of what has worked, what hasn't, how you're dealing with the situations that you have in your business.